Hi and welcome back again. In this session I'm going to be going through creating another lead patch, but focusing a little bit more on evolving pads with subtle changes over time. So let's get straight to it. Once again, let's start with an initialized patch in Sylenth 1. And starting with part A, let's have oscillator 1 with 8 voices. And we'll set the waveform to be a triangle wave. And we'll detune that to about 10%. So it should now sound like this. Then in oscillator 2, let's have one voice, just as a simple sine wave. But we'll set the octave to -2, so it's filling in the low end, and it should sound like this. Now in the main amplitude envelope, let's set the attack up to about 10% so that it's a slow start. And let's set the release up to about 50% so it has a slow fade out afterwards. And it should sound like this. Now let's head to part B, and in the first oscillator we'll have a sawtooth waveform with a single voice. So it sounds like this. And that sawtooth seems a bit intrusive, so let's bring the volume of that oscillator down to about 75%. And let's also lift the amplitude attack to about 60% here, so that it takes a while to appear in the sound. So it should sound like this. Let's also detune that by about 10%, so it just evolves a little bit more. And now let's also head to mod env1, and we'll set it to adjust pitch AB here. Now we'll move the dial in a negative direction, just by about 10%, and then raise the decay to about 10% too, so that the pitch of both oscillators glide upwards to reach the final notes, so it should now sound like this. Now I want to make the sawtooth a bit more evolving, so I'll set a low pass filter to part B and leave the settings as they are, but I'll assign LFO1 to affect cutoff B. And then I'll set the dial all the way in a positive direction and the gain up to maximum, and then I'll change the rate so that it's 1/4, and then it should sound like this. Now finally, let's add some chorus to thicken it out, and then some EQ to boost the low and high frequencies a little bit. But I think the default settings on both of these are fine, so it should now sound like this. Now just to finish off, I'm going to play a few chords, so I'll lift the polyphony to 6, just so that I can play up to 6 notes at any given time, and I'll add some beats in for good measure. So that's it for Sylenth 1. I hope you've learned something along the way, not just in this synth, but in synthesis techniques in general. We've covered everything from modulations to effects and waveforms through to MIDI commands. With the final couple of patches or so we've made, it's definitely worth playing around and seeing how much further you can actually progress these sounds by adding other devices that we've actually covered within the course. I hope you've enjoyed. See you soon.